The Wicked Witch is dead. Hooray, right? Everyone's throwing confetti, singing songs, and pretending this wasn't a politically motivated assassination. But while Oz is busy popping champagne, one person isn't exactly celebrating. Glinda. Yeah, that Glinda. The one with the giant bubble and suspiciously good hair. She's standing there in her sparkly ball gown, trying to smile through what might be the worst case of guilt-induced indigestion in Oz history. Because, surprise, she knew the Wicked Witch intimately, as in shared a dorm room, fought over who used the last hot water. Emotionally traumatic kind of intimacy. Turns out Wicked Witch wasn't born wicked. Her name was Elphaba. Green skin, brilliant mind, a little too honest, the kind of person who doesn't just rock the boat. She hexes the boat, flips it over, and demands to know who was steering it in the first place. She didn't smile to be liked. She didn't shrink to fit in. And Oz, bless its glittering, shallow little heart, hates that. Elphaba didn't start out as a villain. She started out as a girl who loved her sister, wanted to do the right thing, and maybe, just maybe, had the power to change the world. And Glinda? Well, Glinda was there for all of it. The spells, the scandals, the heartbreak, and the broomstick-related escape plan that still makes her wince when she thinks about it. So if you really want to know what happened to the Wicked Witch of the West, you've got to rewind. Way back. Before the screaming, before the flying monkeys, before the word wicked even stuck. Because this story didn't begin with a death. It began with a birth. Elphaba was born during a storm, which honestly feels like overkill. She already came out bright green. Did the sky really need to throw in lightning for dramatic effect? Her mother died almost immediately. Her father took one look at the lime-colored newborn and said, nope. And from that point on, Elphaba was treated less like a daughter and more like a walking curse. Rumors started before she could even talk, that she was born of sin, cursed by the gods, or maybe just a bad omen with chubby cheeks and terrifying potential. She wasn't allowed near other children. Her toys were hand-me-downs from the attic. Her birthday? Not a thing. Her only real connection? Nessarose, her little sister, born a few years later, unable to walk, but somehow their father adored her. Maybe because she wasn't green. Maybe because favoritism is hereditary. Either way, Elphaba made it her full-time job to protect Nessarose from the world, and sometimes from herself. The two of them had this strange lopsided bond, part caretaker, part codependency, part trauma-sharing support group. They'd sneak out to look at the stars. Nessarose would talk about hope. Elphaba would talk about revolution. You know, normal sibling stuff. By the time the girls get sent off to Shiz University, Elphaba is basically a human cactus. Prickly, defensive, impossible to hug. Nessarose is quiet and delicate. And Elphaba is all sharp edges, heavy books, and don't talk to me unless it's a life or death situation, preferably yours. And then comes Galinda. Galinda is everything Elphaba is not. Blonde, bubbly, blissfully shallow. Her idea of a crisis is a bad seating chart. She arrives at Shiz like she's starring in her own musical, which, okay, technically she is, and gets roomed with Elphaba. The horror, the betrayal, the interior design clash. Within 20 minutes, Galinda has color-coded the closet, introduced herself in triplicate, and laid down 17 perfume bottles like landmines. Elphaba's side of the room is one sad suitcase and a stack of books that probably smell like fire. Their roommate dynamic starts somewhere between mild loathing and impending homicide. Galinda calls her that green girl. Elphaba calls her insufferable glitter-drenched peacock. It's not love at first sight. Insults are exchanged, possessions are sabotaged, passive aggression becomes a competitive sport. There is a petty war over the window seat that lasts 6 months. No one wins. And while all that petty warfare is unfolding, boom, new student arrival, Fiyero. And that is love at first sight. Well, for Galinda, at least. He's a prince. He's got cheekbones that could cut glass. And he shows up barefoot, talking about living in the moment like he invented it. He's hot. He's infuriating. He's absolutely not trying, which is somehow working for him. Galinda decides instantly that he's hers. Elphaba decides instantly that he's a walking red flag. But then he smiles at her, just once, just briefly, and Elphaba's brain short circuits. Fiyero is annoyingly charming. He's also surprisingly curious. About her, he listens, he pushes her buttons, he starts to matter, which is bad, because Galinda is already building wedding hashtags in her head. Meanwhile, Elphaba accidentally reveals she has freakishly strong magic when she tries to stop a moment of bullying and ends up setting half a classroom on fire. Everyone's shocked, especially Elphaba, who mostly just wanted people to leave her alone, not label her the magical green menace. But one person is intrigued. Madame Morrible, the school's charm-smiling headmistress, who's clearly got one foot in a villain origin story. She sees Elphaba's potential, and by potential, we mean power to be exploited immediately. She starts pulling Elphaba aside, feeding her compliments with poison in the middle. "You're special," she says. "You could do great things if you learn to follow orders." And Elphaba, so desperate to be seen for something other than her skin, starts to listen. Just a little. While all of this is happening, Elphaba and Galinda are still locked in a slow burn rivalry that would make even enemies to lovers fanfic authors say, tone it down. And yet, beneath the shade and the insults and the passive-aggressive chore wheel, something starts to shift. They're not friends, not yet, but they're no longer just enemies either. So Elphaba's officially on Madame Morrible's most likely to be weaponized by the government list. She's getting one-on-one magic tutoring now, which is less fun spells and sparkles and more. Here, try not to accidentally summon a demon. She's learning how to manipulate energy, command elements, and pronounce ancient spells that sound like bad throat infections. The kind of stuff that makes books levitate, candles explode, and classmates quietly switch seats. And she's good, too good. The kind of gifted that makes teachers nervous and headmistresses start drafting contracts. Meanwhile, our girl Galinda is thriving in her natural habitat, drama club. She's studying sorcery like it's a minor inconvenience between social events. At this point, the biggest magic she's pulled off is rebranding herself from Galinda to Glinda, dropping the A like it owed her money. She says it's to sound more sophisticated. But really, it's to impress a certain barefoot prince who still thinks rules are optional and shirts are a social construct. Fiyero, of course, is too busy skipping class and flirting with danger and girls to notice the way Glinda lights up every time he breathes in her direction. Then one day in class, everything changes. The professor wheels in a cage, and inside it, a tiny lion cub trembling with fear. The lesson is supposed to be about animal suppression. A demonstration, they say, but Elphaba's not buying it. She knows exploitation when she sees it. The professor ignores her protests. The students laugh. And Elphaba, she's done playing nice. With one whispered word, she casts a sleeping spell. The whole classroom collapses like dominoes. Students, professors, even Glinda, all snoring in their seats. But when the dust settles, one other person is still awake. Fiyero. They lock eyes. No words, just a shared, unspoken, let's do something stupid and noble. Together, they break the cage open, scoop up the lion cub, and sprint into the corridors. No plan, no backup, just two half-furious, half-thrilled rebels committing felony animal rescue in broad daylight. They sneak out through the back gardens and release the cub into the wild. And in that moment, something shifts. Not love, not yet, but something. Later on, we meet Dr. Dillamond, a talking goat. Literally, he's one of the last remaining animals, meaning a creature with the ability to speak, teach, and be 1000% more reasonable than any of the humans around him. Dillamond's lectures are the first time Elphaba hears the truth. Animals are losing their rights. Magic is being restricted. The Wizard of Oz, the great and powerful one everyone fangirls over, is quietly building a shiny little police state. This flips a switch in Elphaba. She's not just angry, she's awake. She starts asking questions in class, challenging teachers, reading banned scrolls in dark corners of the library. She's becoming dangerous in the most inconvenient, uncool, unapproved way. Dillamond becomes her mentor and her first taste of heartbreak when he suddenly vanishes mid-semester with no explanation. His classroom is cleaned out overnight. His name is scrubbed from the records like he never existed. Then comes the trip, Elphaba gets invited to the Emerald City for a private audience with the wizard himself. Glinda tags along because obviously it's not a road trip if there isn't one emotionally repressed introvert and one extrovert with luggage full of shoes. The Emerald City is a sensory overload. Neon lights, mechanical marvels, steampunk everything. It's magic dipped in marketing, like Disneyland if it were run by a dictator. Elphaba is awed, then suspicious, then deeply unsettled. When they finally meet the wizard, he's underwhelming, kind eyes, big smile, major used chariot salesman energy. He tells Elphaba, "You have incredible power. You should use it for good. Join me." Which sounds nice, right up until he hands her the Grimoire, a forbidden book full of ancient spells and no instruction manual whatsoever. Naturally, she tries one. And that's how we get flying monkeys. 1 second, the lab is quiet. The next, boom. Monkeys have wings, furniture is on fire, and the wizard's mask slips. Just for a moment, just long enough for Elphaba to realize this man doesn't want to teach her magic. He wants to own it. She bolts. Glinda follows. Morrible, of course, calls security because loyalty is for the weak. The girls run for their lives, together, until they reach a hallway, breathless and cornered. Glinda begs her, "Just say you're sorry. Say you'll work with him. We can fix this." Elphaba shakes her head. No. She steps onto a broom, says the words, and then she flies up, over the guards, over the fear, over everything. Defying gravity hits like an emotional freight train. Glinda stares. We cry. And just like that, Elphaba goes from gifted student to wanted witch, the wicked witch.